As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
One of the worst performances of my career, and they never doubted it for a second.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
I believe there's a hero in all of us that keeps us honest, gives us strength, makes us noble.
You just gotta keep living, man. Livin.
Son of a bitch. He stole my life.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Is it enough for a film to be just a faithful adaptation? Does it really need to make use of the medium that it's going into? Welcome back to the Shot by Shot podcast, where we're talking about probably the biggest release of the year in terms of at least financial power. John Mchu's Wicked, based in my local theatres. I think it's going to be the biggest movie of the year, probably get a Best Picture and lots of Oscar nominations. So we're going to talk about it. So Oscar, why don't you start us off with your initial thoughts about were you taking the lyrics of Defying Gravity and holding space with them?
Oh dear. I was not, no, not at all. Listen, I did want this film to be good. I have
we
no
both love the
real
initial Wizard of Oz. So it's not completely coming from a space of hating.
The Wizard of Oz, I absolutely adore. It's an incredible film that is ridiculous for its time. Just I can't imagine being in the theatre in 1939 and seeing that scene where she opens the door out of the house the first time, and you just have like the most stunning change into color. And the world of Oz it revolves around color. It's like it's its lifeline, you know. The location of the Yellow Brick Road, the Ruby Slippers, the Emerald City, they're all names are like that for a reason. It has it's like its core. Without it, you just lose so much of its storytelling and its emotional weight, and it's just what it is. And unfortunately, with Wicked, we've had like another beloved classic slain to the studio system, unfortunately, and the irredeemable damage that the MCU has done on cinema. But The Wizard of Oz is, you know, a lot of people now hate it because of the things that happened on set, which were horrendous. But I think that for myself, I usually, with those kind of things, separate those incidents and what the actual film is. And what the actual film is just one of the most magical pieces of cinema ever created, and has withstood the test of time perfectly and looks infinitely better than the vast majority of blockbusters made today. And with Wicked Part 1, this is the exact case. But yeah, The Wizard of Oz is incredible, and obviously there's been loads of adaptations over the year, and I think all those adaptations have made it their own, and they've understood the world and its vibrancy up until this one. You know, Sam Raimi did it in 2013. He obviously favored the massive, heavy CGI and green screen, but at least it looked colorful and good, and it had that sense of world building to it. And yes, I prefer the incredible sets like they used in Wicked, but when your cinematography is as washed out as that, and with lighting to just put anyone to sleep, I just, it's inexcusable, especially for the Wizard of Oz. And you just, like I said, you're losing so much weight to everything by not having vibrant and bright contrast in your color like you do in the 1939 and pretty much any other adaptation that's ever been made. But yeah, it's sad to see this, and hearing John Mchu talk about the reasons for why is even worse. It's like the most anti-art statement I've heard all year. What do you mean realistic? Like, oh, life is so great. What are you talking about? It's why do you need to ground the Wizard of Oz into reality? The plague of the plague in studios in Hollywood of having everything this really grey, dull, realistic lighting with backlighting in every shot that means you can't see anything that's going on in every scene, because in the day it's either too bright and in the night there's nothing there, so you can't see a single actor's face and it looks horrendous. And it is so sad that to see it come to the world of Oz, because that's the one place that you don't want it. And I think it is unfortunate because I think there's bits in here that I do enjoy in Wicked. You know, the musicals are pretty good. I was completely blind to the musical numbers. I hadn't had them before. I think they're pretty good, and I think the performances they're fairly good. I think Cynthia was the standout for me. I think she does a really great job. I think Ariana fits her role well. I thought the performance was fine, but I'm not necessarily holding up to the standard of what a lot of people are. But 2 hours 40 was pretty crazy for this, especially considering its source
It was
material.
pretty long,
I'll get
yeah.
into that later. But yeah, The Wizard of Oz is a truly incredible film, and this is just a perfect sum up of how unfortunately far we've come in 85 years.
Going back to the article that you're referring to, if you haven't seen that, that's obviously the director, John M. Chu, was asked about why his film looked so different compared to the other adaptations. Of course, both the original and Sam Raimi's kind of stuck to that. Sam Raimi's was still digital, but it still stuck to the color, faithful to being with the color and almost trying to imitate that Technicolor style in a digital state. Back when, at least in the 2010s, Disney were a bit more CGI heavy compared to what they've done in this movie, which I'll give lots of credit to it. Some of the sets are incredible, and you have to give credit to that, although they weren't used effectively. But he was asked about why his Oz looked so different, and he said, I think that what we wanted to do was immerse people into Oz to make it a real place, because it was a fake place. It was a dream in someone's head, and then the real relationships and the stakes of these two girls are going through wouldn't feel real. And he just completely missed the mark here. I think
What
that's
is he
the magic of
talking
the first
about?
one. It's up to it's not even guaranteed that it's a dream. I'd say in the first one, maybe in the books it's definitely not a dream, but it's up to interpretation whether it's a dream. It's pretty much one of the first films diving into surrealism, and I think that's why it's stayed as a staple of really old Hollywood and the influences that it had on so much movies that came later, because so many films have used that kind of dream format of going into this magical land and making use of it visually, and that's what they done in the first one. The Technicolor really is used so brilliantly to contrast those black and white scenes back at the old Kansas, and he's just kind of completely abandoned it for desaturated, horribly lit, good sets, but really badly shot characters and locations. And I just can't look past it. I can understand people enjoying this, ignoring it. I mean, we've seen movies like Deadpool this year that haven't looked good and people have enjoyed it. So I guess I understand just getting immersed into the movie and kind of ignoring that aspect, because there is great stuff in here, like the production and the characters and the actors are all doing a good job. There's some great choreography as well going on. He's obviously an experienced musical director, but I think he's completely missed the mark here.
Yeah, and out of all the directors as well, he just doesn't have it compared to the other directors. You know, Victor Fleming stepped in 85 years ago and made that. Sam Raimi carries Also Great and Powerful on his back, and I haven't actually seen some of the others, but I don't think there's any vibrancy to his direction as well. You know, I think the second half is better directed than the first. I think the first half is really standard coverage. You know, the camera's just wandering in actors' faces just pretty lazily and aimlessly, and just not really doing anything worthy of expressing emotion. And it just really lacking overall. And what could have happened if we had a different director? You know, someone with I think it's good that he added the musical background, which I'm sure that's probably what they're looking for. But with a director who clearly doesn't have much artistic ability, then I think that's quite poorly struck, especially for like I said, the World of Oz. You know, like you were saying, people are having less problems with this and about the way it looks, and so it affects different people. The way films look obviously is very subjective, and some people are going to be less bothered by it than others. But I think it's so much worse for this film to look so grey and so dull compared to just maybe another film. And I think, like I said, it loses so much just not having that. And it's really sad, really, because it could have, with a really good looking film, it could have been really good. And maybe with a bit more direction, a better direction, I genuinely, it could have been really good. But I do really like this world, and it is such a great honor to explore it every time. But and I don't know about you, but I have no knowledge of the musical stage play. Have you seen it?
No, I know pretty much nothing about it. No, it could have had so much potential, because I guess they have played it safe with going for the musical director. Because it is, I guess it is probably the biggest musical in the world. Probably with high expectations for the adaptation. Probably just going off how much excitement there's been for this releasing, but so they've played it safe with a director that kind of knows what he's doing. But if you compare this to anything like West Side Story by Spielberg, it's just night and day. There's nothing close to it. There's he's telling a story with his cinematography. The blocking is insane in that film. And so it's just really giving. I know we've had a bad year for musicals, but it's again just giving musicals a bad name.
The end carrying musicals this year.
Okay.
Musicals are actually in the mud, and the only reason it's a great musical is because it's an anti-musical, which I think is quite funny. But yeah,
we've already had 2 anti-musicals that are bad this
year. Oh god. But yeah, musicals just you're throwing directors into musicals, and some of which are problematic because they are musicals. Amelia Paris, awful film. But I think others are just down to the fact that you got a director who does not know how to spice up his films. And it's a sad state of affairs. I do enjoy musicals a lot, but yeah, it has been absolutely dire. And I'm trying to think. For some reason, it feels like we've had more musicals this year than any other year this decade. I'm trying to think of other big musicals apart from West Side Story.
2021 was pretty stacked because we had West Side Story and Tick Tick Boom, and then John M. Chu also released In the Heights.
In the Heights, yeah.
Yeah. So
I have not seen In the Heights or Tick Tick Boom. I've heard pretty good stuff about both. But yeah, it's crazy, and the Academy seems to love musicals as well. It's really weird. I don't know why. It's just a random thing that they love. But yeah.
Well, I guess usually they have some type of artistic integrity behind them.
Yeah. Spielberg has kind of showed everyone really how you produce a musical with enough artistic integrity and directorial talent and emotion showed through your images, and not just a film that looks like a pile of rubbish or doesn't have anything to say, and out of place as well. That's the thing with a lot of musicals, is it just feels like this didn't need to be a musical. Like, why are we doing this? And it can come across in the wrong way a lot of times. This Wicked definitely isn't the case. I think the kind of partially the saving graces of the film are the songs. I do enjoy quite a few of them, but yeah, it's I just wish someone else had directed this. And again, I think it all just goes back to I mentioned earlier, just the MCU and the laziness that is brought to mainstream cinema. And the runtime of this film, I'm pretty sure the runtime of this film is longer or similar runtime to the stage play. I mean, that's just one
I think the
part.
stage play is 3 hours, so it's pretty much the whole
It's
stage play.
pretty much on that. That is crazy, and I'm assuming part two is probably going to be just as long. And
Yeah.
you can feel it as well.
Do you want to give a rating first before we dive into spoiler territory?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I gave this 1.5 out of 5. Wicked.
Yeah,
Anyway,
so did I. It's pretty low in the year for me as well.
it is.
Yeah, had lots of potential, but it didn't live up to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna go into spoilers now. So if you haven't seen it, go and check it out first if you want to.
Okay, I do not need a 5-minute scene explaining why the yellow brick road is the yellow brick
That
road.
was so bad, man.
I was kicking myself. What are we doing? And it's that entire sequence as well. It's the same with the monkeys about the wings. Like, I don't need every little thing explained. It suffers from being a prequel because, like the MCU, you need like, oh, this is why, this is why, this is why, this is why this is in this case, and this is why this is why this is happening in the later film. I'm like, what are you doing? It needs, you don't need to have everything linked, it doesn't, whilst being in the world, it doesn't define itself as being its own, and you can tell it's just so stretched out because there's just needless exposition. Like the opening scene I really did not like at all. Well, I didn't like the whole film, but I just
the opening scene is rough. Going back to West Side Story, obviously that's like a movie in itself that's fighting like an uphill battle, remaking an Oscar Best Picture winner, which I think was fully justified eventually, and like justified it existing. But this kind of falls into the other side of the trap of, although it's not a remake, it kind of feels like we're just kind of using the IP to come into this Wizard of Oz world. And this opening scene has like this really disgusting shot of like Dorothy and the four of them walking across Yellow Brick Road. It looks AI generated. It does not look good. And the tiger or the lion, he's an actual lion. Like,
oh
it
no,
kind of sums up, like that shot kind of sums up a lot of the problems I have just with the characters and stuff in this in
CGI
general,
animals,
because
man. Bring back the costumes.
it
Bring
looks like the
back
Lion King
costumes.
animals. Like it's straight taken from like the Lion King movie, like kind of CGI, where they're trying to make it look real.
There's so many CGI animals. Bring back the practical animal costumes. CGI animals. Like, I understand that from time to time, yeah, it's easier, and like, oh, they wanted to look a bit more flawless and sharp and clean, which is another thing that I hate about the way that a lot of films look. Is so clean, and it's stupid. But see, what is the, it's just so much cooler to have someone in a practical suit, and that, like you said, there's so much on animals and animal cruelty and things like that, and it starts to commentate on like a fascist society almost, like, oh, these people aren't allowed to speak out.
It's very on the nose, the commentary.
It is very on the nose. I was like,
would work for a musical, but I don't think it translates.
Is that, do you know if
well.
that's in the original source material? Because I was interested to see.
I guess it is. I'm not really sure.
If that was actually included in the show, all the stuff about the animals, but it's so
definitely
incredibly
like the discrimination side of her being green is like a racism allegory.
Yeah,
will definitely be part of the musical. I don't know if the animal stuff is.
Yeah, but yeah, it is incredibly on the nose. The amount, if I heard the word shiz one more time in that film, they say it like every 5 minutes in the first half of the film. It's so annoying. It is insane how much it stretches its source material. Like, the time differences is ridiculous, and we're just explaining little nitpicks for the entirety of that. And it really is sad to see such incredible production design look like this. It is really, really sad. I would have loved to have been able to see actors being able to express themselves in singing scenes, but half the time you can't even see their faces, especially in Defying Gravity is awful. You can't see Cynthia's face at all during like 80% of that because the lighting is so bad.
Those are the better scenes as well. I like preferred it when it was darker because it's like I like the inside ones, or when it was darker, because I prefer that to just getting flashbanged by the brightness
getting
that was
flashbanged
outside.
by the backlighting. Right, is so
It genuinely
funny.
was when they were inside and there was the light, like natural light, I'm assuming,
The
coming from
library
inside.
scene. Oh, that library
It was
meeting
insane.
scene is
My jaw
awful.
dropped like 5 times. I was genuinely like disbelief that the lighting was that bad.
And for some reason, John M. Chu just loves to place the camera directly in the line of sight of a light, and it is painful. Yeah, that library scene and the scene where she's going on the train as well looks horrendous. And yeah, I guess the night scenes are a bit better because I'm not being flashbanged, but then again, I can't really see anything at all. And talk about horrendous performances. Michelle Yeoh and Jeff Goldblum were absolutely awful.
I think Jeff Goldblum's kind of fighting an uphill battle there because he's kind of just like, he's the comedic guy, and it's kind of
He plays himself
I guess you are
in
supposed to
every
make fun of
role,
him, but yeah.
and not
But
in a
Michelle
good
Yeoh
way.
is awful, really bad line delivery.
What is it with kind of actors who kind of making a resurgence back into the mainstream and just bag chasing immediately? And it sucks that they're like really great actors, and now you're seeing churned out horrendous performances like this. And I don't know about you, but even obviously, like I said, don't know the source material, but I thought like the motivations behind some of the characters, I thought was really poor. As in, for such a drawn out film, I felt that the motivations were just flipped so quickly and really rushed, especially in the second half of the film. You know, as she's as kind of Cynthia's turning kind of darker and I guess more vengeful because of what's happening. I didn't feel any emotional weight to that because because things were happening too quickly in parts of that film, and it's crazy for such a long film. And
yeah, that's the funny thing because it's so dragged out, but as soon as you go to Emerald City, it feels completely rushed.
Yeah, it
even
does.
With that runtime.
It does, and it kind of sucks that part 2 will obviously, I'm pretty sure they filmed them back to back at the same time. It's probably going to look the exact same, but hopefully the story has will be taken off more by then, so maybe we'll have some progression, which I'm really, really hoping for, because I do want part 2 to be good, but if it looks the same, then we're not really going to go anywhere. And it is really unfortunate, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, so we're not really familiar with the story beats that it's supposed to hit, so we don't know how faithful it is to the
I rewatched The Wizard of Oz and realized something that probably will happen just at the beginning, because she has the sister, the red slippers.
Yeah, so the sister has to turn into the Wicked Witcher that you.
And that's the one under the house. I didn't even. I just rewatched recently, and she'll turn, I'm assuming. And
why? See the shoes her dad gives her as she goes into university.
I'm assuming those will be the red slippers, the ruby slippers.
Why were they not red?
They probably will be. They probably will be. Which Glinda do you prefer, Michelle Williams or Ariana?
Yeah, I go Michelle Williams because I think she kind of captures the kind of, I don't know I don't even know how to explain it. Just how nice and like the glamorous costumes of the original. But I'm not really familiar, like we're saying, with the musical, so I'm not sure how Galinda's supposed to like act, so I can't really judge if she like done a good job of interpreting that to the film. But I think she was okay. I I don't know. I just, on top of the lighting and the cinematography that makes it kind of just feel like a fake movie, Ariana Grande being in it just doesn't really help because I can't unsee that
It's
it's just
weird.
Ariana Grande.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just adds
To be
more
fair to
fakeness to
her,
the movie.
I didn't. I think she moves out of being herself in that role. Like, I think she fits it. I think she fits it well, but enough for me to see that it's not like actually her, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
But oh, there was
I
something
guess
else.
you couldn't cast someone unknown in that because
Hmm.
what's the other actress's name?
Cynthia.
Cynthia Erivo.
Hmm.
She's kind of unknown, so you kind of need that big star to kind of pull people into the movie
Yeah.
alongside her. Which
That is true.
why is Ariana Grande being called supporting in this movie? Because she's 100% a co-lead. It's kind of category fraud going on in there.
I
Is more
swear
than
they
Zoe
just.
Saldana
I
is.
swear so many films campaign that just so like they can win an award. They're like, oh, we're just going to put this person in supporting,
Yeah,
just so we have a better chance of winning something. Um, but
yeah, because
yeah,
Michelle
it's
Williams
crazy.
nearly done that in Fablemans. I can't remember if she switched.
Oh
I think she
yeah.
switched the lead.
Um,
Um, yeah, but it's generally quite a weak category, so they kind of abuse the rules to get
Supporting actress is always
easier
a
wins.
weird one every year, maybe except for
Yeah,
last year. But yeah, I don't know. It is. It's an interesting one, and especially this year, it's going to be interesting. But the casting choices, especially in Oslo Grey and Powerful, apart from Michelle Williams, are pretty horrendous.
yeah. I think it does work at sometimes. Like James Franco's kind of does well as that pathetic guy that you just kind of make fun of all the time because it does kind of dive into that and just make him a joke, but he's not a great casting. And pretty much anybody should be recasted in that apart from Michelle Williams.
Mila Kunis is
She's awful.
that might be the worst casting in the film, maybe topping James Franco.
Yeah,
That
I
was
can unsee you've seen that video of her in the press conferences or the press junket videos for that when she's just talking to the guy about going to the pub. Like she just does not care about the movie at all during that.
oh
Like
dear.
she has like an English interviewer and she's just talking about football in the pub instead of the movie. So I think it really
And
was just a bag movie.
it is painful to see them walk on the yellow brick road and it's just a rear projector, green screen.
Yeah, it's
Um,
rough at the start.
it is rough, but I mean, it looks vibrant. But hey, yeah,
There's no shot worse than a lot of the ones in this. I will say that. I'll take
true.
the green screen over the shallow focus, like flashbang of Wicked.
Yeah, true. I would as well.
Those flowers that they planted, that is undoubtedly impressive.
Oh
Although it's
yeah,
used for like a 10-second shot, I wish there'd maybe been a little more stuff like that in the film. Um, but generally, just kind of the buildings and stuff, I did really like them. I wouldn't mind this winning the Oscar. It's really that or Gladiator that I think are the most impressive of the year for
what
kind of
production?
building these crazy sets. Yeah, production design.
Hmm.
I think those two stand out for like kind of crazy sets. Although again, it's not used very well, but even some of the wizard stuff as well. The production design is impressive, and I think those are probably the best looking scenes in the movie. Once they go to the Emerald City, I'd say
Hmm.
the kind of inside scenes.
I wouldn't mind it winning either. If it's going to win anything. Um,
Well, it's gonna win
just
song, I
award
guess.
season is probably the worst time of the year, and it really does suck, man.
Hmm.
And it's so long. You just have to sit
Hmm.
through, you know, loads of snubs and undeserving awards that you just know are coming, and then they come, and it's really not fun. Um, but yeah, I think production design is definitely the one I'd give it. It's not getting original songs because the songs aren't original. Emilia Perez is going
Yes,
to
I
take
think
like
there is there original songs in this because you're stretching
no.
out a 3 hour play to
I'm
2
pretty
movies.
sure
So yes,
all of them.
some of them must have been.
Yeah, I just production is ridiculous, and that's the thing that sets it apart from the MCU. You know, I was making comparisons like the examples, but at least these actually built proper sets.
Yeah.
And the MCU wishes it could do something and have the level of production that this film had, but unfortunately, it is equally as impressive to make it look so bad, and to be shot in a way that I don't think fully captures the magnitude of how good the sets were.
I think costume design as well. I mean, Galinda wears loads of dresses. All the oh, I forgot about this. Where are the Munchkins? Are they just not
They're there.
in
They're
the
just,
Wicked?
they're not
No,
dwarves.
are they not dwarfs in the play? It's Ariana Grande's boyfriend, is it not? The ginger
The
one that's a
boyfriend.
Munchkin.
I'm pretty sure I'm swear he's a
Yeah,
Munchkin.
he's taller than Ariana Grande.
I know.
But he's playing a Munchkin. Like I did
It
feel
is
like kind of
stupid.
did miss that fantasy kind of immersion in
It did.
those aspects.
Stupid CGI animals, man. Honestly.
I actually,
But
I the goat is like my favorite character as well. Still,
you know that was
even
Peter
with the
Dinklage.
CGI. Yeah, I could tell. Which he done a musical in. Wait, did he do a musical last year, 2022? He can sing, so
Yeah, you can.
yeah, he was good in it. But if it had been a practical, like even like yeah, just any type of like practicality to those animals would have made them much better.
Hmm.
I know in like the modern day, people aren't going to do that, so it's not really a fair thing to criticize for it, but it just would make it so much better.
I agree.
Do we genuinely like have to look at this as a genuine contender for Best Picture because people seem to be loving this because it's getting a nomination and it's getting Oscar wins behind it.
It will get a nomination. It is not winning.
It's going to take
Not
Best
hope.
Supporting Actress and like a few technical awards.
I still don't
And it's
think she's getting. I think she'll get nominated for supporting actress, but she's. Still don't think she's winning.
who's going to win it though? There's
Zoe
no
Saldana.
competition. Yeah, no, but that's an awful movie. I really hope that
It
by
is
the time we
awful
get to
movie.
March, Emilia Perez is just gone. Like, there's no way
But Zoe
it
Saldana
survives
was
3
good in
months.
that film.
She was. But people love Ariana Grande, so I think she might win it.
Oh dear, it's gonna be awful if Selena Gomez gets
There's no way.
nominated as well.
She's
No.
But the
Oh
category
dear.
is so weak as well. Like, anybody can really get in.
Oh dear.
But it's not really
That's gonna be
fair
so-
because you have Isabella Rossellini getting in for Conclave, where she has like 6 minutes of screen time, and Ariana Grande has like
He
90
was
minutes
good,
of
to
screen
be
time.
fair. Yeah,
She was.
supporting
That
actress
was a
is
that was a
crazy
proper
screen
supporting
time.
role.
The screen time variations on supporting roles is absurd.
It's not fair.
Supporting actress is going to be Zoe Saldana, I think. Yeah, and I think Danielle Deadwyler and Felicity Jones as well. I've got too much behind them as well. And Saoirse Ronan even as well.
I hope it's Zoe Saldana.
Yeah, I kind of do hope that as well.
They have to be fair for not giving her the Oscar for Avatar, for both Avatars.
Emilia Perez is still front runner for international feature. Oh dear.
I think that's probably gonna win. I really hope it drops off, but
That is, I
We'll get someone
think
to
that
do
might
it.
be my least favorite international feature of the year.
It's France that have that, yeah.
That's a good question, actually.
They could have took
I
Red
think
Room.
yeah, they should have. Yeah, Emilia Perez is my least favorite international feature of the year and is currently front runner for international feature.
It's
That's
almost my
criminal.
least favorite movie of the year, honestly.
Oh dear. Yeah, Wicked is looking like front runner for costume design. That was really good. Wicked is going to get nominated, but I thought it was funny they made like for your consideration cinematography for Wicked. That made me laugh. That did make me laugh
The
quite a
weird thing
lot.
is the cinematographer Alice Brooks, she'd worked on Tick Tick Boom as well. So like
Hmm.
even she has a history in musicals. So like in theory, on paper, it was a good castings and directors and the crew to work on this, but
Mm,
who knows where it went wrong.
yeah. Who knows?
Again, I don't want to dog on it too much because it's not fair to compare it to Technicolor films, but
True. But then
digital
again,
camera is just
85 years on
really,
is still pretty horrendous that
yeah.
you look visually insignificant and inferior to a film that was made in 1939. And
Mhm.
that's not me dogging on old films because a lot of them look absolutely incredible. But it's just sad that we are in the state cinema is for a lot of these studio films that think that lighting a film realistically is the best thing, which is pretty awful.
Mhm.
And it's not even
Yeah.
realistic. It's like, why do people care about realism so much?
Your
It's a
main character's
film.
green, has magic powers,
Exactly.
and there's talking animals.
There's magic, there's talking animals, there's witches, and you care about realism. That is awful. It is a plague, and it
Exactly.
needs to stop.
And the genre used to understand the translation of the play because there's so many great ones like the original West Side Story, Wizard of
Hmm.
Oz, all Powell and Pressburger's musicals, all the really the
Hmm.
Technicolor era, they're really the staples of the genre, and it's
Hmm.
just fallen off so much. Because like I don't dislike musicals. Like when it's done well, they're some of the best movies ever made.
Oh yeah.
It's just a shame.
Let's move on
Yeah.
to our 5 best watches since when was it? A couple of weeks ago.
My number
Mhm.
5 is I Seen a Different Man finally because it finally was screened in my local and it was one of the better films of the year. Another film shown in shot in 16mm, which again, that are shot in film are just generally better. Like as shown in this film. Not that digital was always inferior, but that was one of the big problems I had with Wicked as well.
Mhm.
Just that general studio digital look. Some great practical effects in here. It's almost a horror film at times, a body horror with the where they go with it. I don't want to
Mhm.
spoil it because it's really good where they go with it. But yeah,
It looks stunning, that
Sebastian
film.
Stan. It does. Sebastian Stan should probably be in conversations for some nominations for that,
I agree.
but it's kind of been outshone by his Trump movie.
A little honorable mention, just because it's a TV show, but Normal People. I finally watched it. I absolutely loved it. Love Paul Mescal. He has that nice depression trilogy with that, After Sun, and All of Us Strangers going for him. But yeah, he's one of the best working today. And yeah, I cried a lot. But yeah, really, really incredible miniseries. But my number 5, I have gone for Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Cloud, which I saw at Leeds Film Festival, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. A brilliant
Very jealous.
satire in the way that Kiyoshi Kurosawa have made one. It turns into this action film in the latter half of the film, and it is just so chaotic and brilliant.
Action
And
film.
yeah, it does like a lot of gunfire, crazy
Has
madness,
he ever done
and
that before?
that's a good question actually. From the ones that I've seen, not to this extent, but it is really funny. Got some load of senseless, satirical, stupid characters that just do things without thought, and it's really brilliant commentary on physical versus non-physical violence and internet culture, and it is hilarious. And I had a really, really fantastic time with this, and he's had a great year between that and Chime, which I also love, and he's still pumping out projects like crazy, and is still meeting to his incredibly high standards, which are incredibly high, and he's one of my favorite working filmmakers today.
He has a third film this year as well.
Serpent's Path is a remake of his own
Yeah.
film.
But the work rate is still crazy.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that. My number 4 is I've finally seen Andrea Arnold's Bird, which also had a very limited release, which I love Andrea Arnold, who is, I guess I generally call her the Sean Baker, or the British Sean Baker, because she kind of delves into the working class, undertold stories with some of her films at least. She has delved into American settings and some documentaries as well, but this is a return to her feature films, and I think she's done an incredible job here. Again, it kind of dives into that Sean Baker-esque kind of style, but there's some weird surrealism as well in there that really blends the genres very well. Also shot in 16mm, which is it never fails. It's beautiful, a beautiful film shot by Robbie Ryan, who done a lot of Yorgos's films recently as well, shot in film, and he probably should have won the Oscar last year, maybe. Would have been deserved, but yeah, he's one of the best DPs working right now. So yeah, Andrea Arnold is one of the best working out of the UK. I'm gonna watch all of her films anytime she releases because they're just continue to be amazing. And Barry Keoghan is really good in the lead, or not the lead, he's a supporting actor, but he kind of blends into the role of the father that he's in this really well, like she has done in the past with some big actors, because like Sean Baker, she usually works with people that aren't proper actors. Yeah, check out Bird when it comes out on digital because it's got a very limited release.
Yeah, I do want to check that out, definitely. For my number 4, I watched the Wachowski sisters' Bound, which is a film I've been meaning to watch for a while. I really, really like this. Such a slick one location mob film. Obviously got their typical style of action, which is glorious, and I'm pretty sure this was their debut. I'm almost certain it was. But yeah, is really compelling. It's got kind of erotic kind of parts to it, and it really drives this film forward to kind of a unique level for this kind of mob film. But I think the location, the setting kind of fits its confinement and paranoia very well, and it uses that setting to its advantage, and it is very, very enjoyable and really thrilling and absolutely stunningly shot, as per most of their films are. But yeah, just another Wachowski sister banger.
And Bill Pope again. What happened to him? Bill Pope, he shot that film, I think.
Did he actually?
Yeah.
I did not realise that. Yeah, that's probably why. But yeah, Bill Pope's on a bit of a goat washed moment at the moment.
A very washed moment.
How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah, he's on like a 5-film run of pretty bad.
Yeah, it's not looking good. But yeah, Bound, I had an incredible time with, and I very much enjoyed it.
My number 3 is I Know Where I'm Going, because it's a Powell and Pressburger film, which is about a woman that is getting married to a rich boyfriend, but he lives in an island in Scotland, so she travels up from England to go and visit him, and there's weather that kind of stops her from kind of reaching the island fully, and she spends a lot of time on that island, so it's kind of exploring the classism and just kind of culture of that like small Scottish island. But yes, it's a great black and white film before they really dived into the Technicolor films that they're known for later in their career. Yeah, really, really underrated Powell and Pressburger film that I really recommend. I think it's like 20k logs or something on Letterboxd, but BBC Two are doing like a Powell and Pressburger season, so
I've seen
a lot of their films are on the now.
two of their films, I think Black Narcissus and both Matter of Life and Death are incredible. Black Narcissus is both visually insane, but I think Black Narcissus was unbelievable.
I still need to
Love
see
both of
it.
those films to bits. I need to see more of their work. I've been meaning to watch The Red Shoes for ages, but I just
I'm
haven't
seeing that
got
in
around to
theaters
it.
next month.
Nice.
Really excited.
But my number 3 is Steven Soderbergh's Sex, Lies, and Videotape. I've had this on my watch list for a bit, but I just heard some good things now coming from a director like himself. I wanted to check it out, and I think it might be his best film. It kind of sets itself apart as kind of his exploration of intimacy and played out by a really great ensemble. It's about a woman who finds out that her husband has been cheating on her with her sister, and then this other one of the husband's friends comes to the town, and these all relationships get knotted up, and it is really just diving deep into the questioning of like sensual instincts and the paranoia of adultery, and it is so fantastic. It kind of pushes further than just the basic form of having an affair, and it just starts questioning kind of just loads like the thought process that goes through kind of intimacy with adultery relationships, and is so compelling and just such a fantastic watch. And the more I've been thinking about it, the more it's just been getting better and better for me. It just feels so fresh and great. 1989, I didn't realize it was that far back. I don't know why, but yeah, stars James Spader and Andy McDowell, who are brilliant. I love both of them. But yeah, really, really brilliant film, and quite underrated. I would very much recommend that people watch it. It does have a Criterion over here actually, which I think I might pick up. But yeah, really, really fantastic film.
I'll add it to the watch list. I think I've only seen like 2 Soderbergh films. Like one of them's
Really?
like Ocean's 11. Yeah.
I've seen 7 of his films. Obviously, I think he's got 2 films coming out next year, actually. He's got Presence in January, which I'm very much looking forward to. And he has another film called Black Bag as well, which I'm pretty sure is releasing next year with Kate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender. So yeah, looking forward to those. He's a pretty talented director.
Nice.
He's made a
My
Solaris
number.
remake as well, which I still haven't seen.
Oh yeah, sorry, did.
And it's like
I've
an
heard it's
hour
decent.
shorter than the original.
Yeah, I've heard it's a pretty decent remake. It's probably very different. My number 2 is West Side Story, but the original version, which I think it's a rare case where the remake and the original are both really good, and kind of there's a reason for both of them to exist, because this is obviously made in a time where Hollywood wasn't treating their actors or they're caring about the kind of races and kind of sides and stuff that West Side Story obviously goes into. There's like Wizard of Oz, there's a lot of weird production stuff behind the scenes that went wrong. Or not went wrong in the case of Wizard of Oz, but just the casting and stuff wasn't very good. So there was reason for Spielberg to remake it, and I love his as well. But I think I prefer this one slightly, just because the Technicolor and the production is just insane. It really dives into the fact that it's being it's like theatrical background. It's quite small scale, but the visual effects and stuff used in it are just so cool. And I think I like the songs in West Side Story as well. After watching this original one, I wasn't too sure after Spielberg's, but there was really a couple songs that I think are really great in this. And the original movie I came back for the remake, so it's nice making those connections now after watching it. But yeah, and the lead is the Ben Horn from Twin Peaks as well, which I can't unsee that now when I watch Twin Peaks. And Dr. Jacoby's the other supporting guy. It's a weird cast.
Oh
Yeah,
dear.
definitely go back and check that out if you haven't seen it or just seen the remake, because I think it's one of the great musicals.
I do need to check that out. because I did watch West Side Story recently. It did make my top 5, but yeah, really fantastic film. Looks incredible. My number 2 is a film called Gemini made in 1999 from a Japanese filmmaker called Shinya Tsukamoto, who is one of the most fascinating Japanese horror directors, most famous for Tetsuo the Iron Man, which I still need to see. Kodakoko, which is the only other film from him I've seen, which is fantastic. I think you've seen as well. And Bullet Ballet, I've been meaning to watch. It's really, really unbelievable film. Just like engulfs you in such a mad world, and it's like this rural Japanese setting, and is completely devoid of kind of happiness. There's so much death, and it's just represented in this incredible visual language of just purple night outside images, which look unbelievable. And I think the beauty of this film is really juxtaposed well with how evil it is. They kind of get a lot of interior sequences as well in some other locations that are really red, and there's some mad character design, and just the costumes and everything are just absurd, and just a really haunting tale of kind of like Japanese rural myths and reminders of betrayal and like satanic embodiment just left, right, and center. And I just absolutely loved it. I would highly recommend. It's only like 80 minutes long, but it is so cool. Yeah, just ridiculous in the best of ways, but I think that was what makes him such a unique filmmaker. And yeah, I need to watch more of his stuff.
Is that another horror film, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
It's really cool.
Yeah, he's a good director from what I've seen so far. And my number 1 of the past week is another Paolo and Pressburger film, A Matter of Life and Death, which I think is my favourite from them so far. Again, I think this must have took inspiration from Wizard of Oz, because again, it kind of deals with those dreamlike scenarios of realism. Yeah, it deals with the dreams going into an almost afterlife. And it's a World War II soldier that jumps from a plane and he doesn't die. It's a mistake from heaven not bringing him in, so they send an angel to go and retrieve him. So again, it's dealing with that kind of like afterlife and real life, and it does kind of do like Wizard of Oz, where except it's flipped. The real life is in Technicolor and the heaven is in black and white, which I think works brilliantly still. I'm kind of doing like the angelic, kind of dreamlike, almost silent film like kind of visuals that they do in the heaven. It looks so good. Yeah, this is just like, this is one of the best examples of just why Technicolor was so special. It looks incredible. Every frame was just insane stuff from them. Yeah, it felt very Fritz Lang. The stuff in heaven.
It does. The stairs.
I think
are insane.
Yeah, no, the visual effects are just crazy for the time. They're crazy for now.
When was it? 48, 49? Was it earlier?
It was 46.
46. Yeah, wait until you see Black Narcissus. That film is crazy.
Yeah, Red Shoes as well. If you've not seen that, check it out. They're one of the goats of UK cinema, undoubtedly. I'm going to check out the rest of their films this week, hopefully, and then watch Martin Scorsese's documentary on them, because they are one of his biggest inspirations. Although it doesn't necessarily translate to his films, I guess, with their kind of filmmaking style, but it's still one of the people that he looked up to. Yeah, it's my number 1.
Yeah, and for me, my number 1 is it's a film called Four Nights of a Dreamer, directed by a man called Robert Bresson, who has made some pretty big films. I think his biggest film is a film called A Man Escapes, which is in the top 250 as well, and L'Argent as well. Is a French filmmaker who I've been meaning to watch for a while. I just kind of picked this out one night and decided to watch it. It was only 87 minutes long, and it was absolutely fantastic. Just really beautiful Paris set film. Just a coalition of art forms is what I described it. It was about it's about a young man who has like loads of artistic aspirations. He's kind of painting at things, and he's kind of wandering the Paris streets at night when he meets this kind of young woman who he rescues from suicide. And it's just such an inspiring story of love and characters who are inspired by their own like voice recordings and voice, and that's what kind of pushes himself. I found it kind of really powerful in like a lot of unique ways. It kind of captures Paris really brilliantly, and it kind of sets itself apart, and it's very distinct. And yeah, a lot of kind of underexposed images. A lot of the kind of night scenes are kind of quite dark. Like their blacks are really, really dark. But the street lighting at night looks absolutely incredible, and it's sadly quite relatable actually, the film. But yeah, I just found it so unique and beautiful, and yeah, I had an incredible time with it. Would highly recommend, but I'm definitely checking out more of his other stuff because I absolutely love that film.
It's not that film that's in the top 250, is it?
No, the top two, the one that's in the top 250 is A Man Escaped. It's in 91. I still need to watch it.
Damn. Yeah, I always see the poster in the top 100. There's a couple of those I need to check out in the top 100.
Yeah, Four Nights of a Dreamer would highly recommend. Really, really enjoyed that one. But yeah, that is my number one of the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, so that's what we've been watching. If you've seen Wicked, let us know in the comments what you thought of it. Did you hate it, or like us, or did you? Are you seem apparently the majority of loving this film? But yeah, like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you thought, and we'll be back next week for another film.